Hi everybody, and welcome back to Yukikaze Gaming. So, today I'm going to be attempting to clear Sky Trial Stage 9 and possibly Stage 10 on my Hybrid Alt. This will be the first King's Raid video that I've done with voiceover. I don't usually do that due to technical limitations, because I'm usually multi-boxing the game while I'm playing it. I don't usually have enough resources to record in the way that I need to have voiceover, as well as a few other logistical issues. Um, but, that said, uh, now that I've unlocked Annette, I think I can push into higher ranks because, frankly, Hannes, as a support, is pretty terrible. Um, So, we're gonna get Annette in here, and we're gonna get her built up real quick, and see what we can do. Um, Now, my Annette probably isn't really built enough to handle the upper reaches of Sky Trial uh, without some defensive gear. Ideally, you do want Annette to be wearing earrings, because she does provide a buff to your team depending on her level of attack, which varies a little bit based off of how many of her related perks that you're taking as well. So you can see our Annette is still pretty bare bones here. She doesn't have any TP invested. I could probably do that, but it's probably better for me to spend that on some of my other units first. Um, but I've got most of her kind of core things taken here. If things get really bad, I might have to take some alternate perks that are more defensive, but we'll see. So, that said, I am almost certainly going to have to make a new rune set on her weapon here. Remember that Sky does physical damage, so that's what you need to protect against. Um, but I can still squeeze a little bit of attack in there as well. And couple of P-Tough runes will go a long way in keeping her alive, especially with her very small HP pool due to having only 1-star UT. I may have to work on a few of my other units too, as we go here, we'll see. Um, kind of depends on just how well I had them set up previously. They weren't really meant to go this high this quickly, so let's see what happens. So I'm gonna start by loading my Sky set, because I don't think I've actually done that yet. Um, and then... Okay, yeah, so Valance is already wearing the, plaque. We've got Estelle with Crown. Currently nobody's wearing Whip, so she may end up running that. Another alternate defensive option I could take advantage of if I really need to is this honorary medal, but it's definitely a lot worse in terms of offensive value, so I don't want to use that if I don't have to. Sky does not have a Dispel, so you're free to run Fantastic Hybrid Animals on your main DPS, which helps them with a little bit of extra defensive properties as well. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and steal the same bracelet that I had on Hannes previously. Um, in fact, I can probably, as a starting point, just kind of pilfer all of her gear for now, even though the stats aren't ideal for Annette. Because I don't want to spend too much time crafting stuff that I don't need to right now. Um, let's see. Here we go. And actually, attack is quite good for Annette. Um, Ideally, her stat lines would be about 400-ish, give or take, depending on the content, attack speed on sheet, plus the rest of her stats at just being as much attack as she can spare. And we do have a little bit of attack speed. Um, so it's 280. It's a little low. Um, I might have an attack speed ruin, though. Which normally I wouldn't want to use on something like this, but because there's about to, yep, there we go, that'll work nicely. Because there's about to be a change implemented that's going to remove all of the runes from everything and refund all the runes that you've used into your inventory, I don't feel too bad about equipping this because I'm not going to have to spend gems to take it off later. And then for her other runes, I'll probably just go ahead and put a generic crit rune on there, which will help a little bit with her healing just because she's so undergeared. Normally she doesn't really need the help in the majority of cases, but this could be one of those cases where she does. And before we go in, I might as well just go ahead and identify the little bit of gear that I have here from Siegfried. Except for these knight earrings, there's really no reason to identify those, because I don't know of any PvE situations where a knight would wear earrings. There might be a weird edge case in PvP I don't know about, but, oh hey, that's quite nice. Protection heavy armor, 10% crit rate. Or not crit rate, sorry, crit damage. To team. Um, that's one of the skills that you definitely are looking for. And a 3% CDR for mechanic. That's pretty handy as well. Yeah, that's some actually pretty nice random drops that I just got. Okay, so given that, I'm actually still going to stick with these at the moment because we're not going to get the set bonus right now anyway, and the stats are a little more useful to her. But long term, I'll just be grinding these Passion of Hope shoes. They're not the right set, and I won't end up using them in the late game. Um, I don't think... Yeah, I definitely don't want that. um, she needs to have the attack speed in order to keep her overcharge state active, otherwise she ceases to provide most of her buffs to the team, which is not good. Now, if I need to, I can switch in, like, this Dark Legion scale armor, for some more attack speed, but more likely I would do that with the secondary gear, because I'm better off losing the M-Def that I don't really need. Um, but I don't think I really need to do that right now, because I actually pretty much have enough attack speed for her with the gear that she has on. And actually, I forgot to include the fact that she's got this 250 attack speed built in from the TM bonus, just because normally I would never run a piece of TM gear like that. Um, but in this particular case, uh, just working with what I've got, and the extra PDEF should help her stay alive. And it's important that that's base PDEF, and that's quite a lot of it because these are reclaimed, and reclaimed pieces have higher stats. So, higher base stats, I should say. The raw stat values are higher. It does not affect the percentage-based or other stat lines on the item. So I think this Annette is good to go enough to at least make an attempt at stage 9. Um, so let's go ahead and give it a shot. Just a quick double check here. Looks like everything's more or less in order. I might end up actually having to... no, I think it'll be okay. Hopefully the Lance is tough enough to stay alive. That's my biggest concern right now, for stage 9 specifically. Now I've already actually gotten Gremory fully upgraded to A2, so I don't need Assassin Stones at the moment. Um, I should actually probably be considering what stones I do need. Really, I shouldn't be continuing to farm this, but I want to get the first clears to pick up the bonus rewards. Because there's a good chance that pulling those pink shards will give me the red ether that I need to be able to get my Gremory to A216, and there's also a good chance that I might get a useful soul stone of some kind out of it. Um, at least a fairly reasonable chance. Not a good chance, but it's not negligible. Uh, right now I should probably be if I'm going to be farming these trials, I should probably be getting mechanic stones for Valance, because she's pretty behind. Um, I would like to at least get her to A0 at some point here. Estelle obviously is already A1. She's kind of ahead of the game. Uh, in some cases, it would be better to just focus Estelle, but because I'm running a hybrid account, uh, she's not. Her A2 is not particularly useful to magic-based DPS, and two of my three DPS are going to be magic-based in the foreseeable future. So I'm not as focused on Estelle as I would be if I were on a purely physical account. Okay, so the basic strategy in Sky, if you haven't picked it up from my videos or somewhere else already, is that you want to, when you're running Gremory, you want to burn her first two skills before he goes into the mode where the totems become vulnerable, because you want to double spam the S3 when that happens very quickly, like so, which will kill the totems, hopefully. Uh, and then you can proceed to DPS the guy. And it was successful, so that's good. And then you can slip in a few additional attacks here, like so. And he's already recovered, but we did a pretty sizable chunk of damage to him. So I think this stage is looking pretty viable at the moment. I don't see any reason why we can't clear this. Um, I think if I'm going to be able to clear stage 10, I'm probably going to have to manual a bit more at the moment. But that's not the worst thing. We might still be able to make that happen. Incidentally, it takes a little over 30 seconds between these phases once he drops the totems again. And victory. So that was a pretty easy, clean kill. Gremory's health did drop pretty low on that first attack that he used. There are some ways that we can get around that. But to start with, let's go ahead and pull these pink shards that we just got and see if anything useful happens. And we've got a guaranteed soulstone on this pull, and we got 10 red ether. Alright, Fluss. Completely useless. At least for the time being. Um, they may... It's been hinted at buff that character at some point in the future here, but at the moment, they don't do much for us. Alright, we're at 40 red ether. That's pretty good. 50. Some gold ether. Never hurts. Ah, worthless. But that's okay. I shouldn't say worthless, but it is by far the worst possible pull that you can get. Here we go. Another soulstone. Is that Gremory? Did I just pull Gremory soulstone after A2ing her? Yep, that happens to me every time. As soon as I A2 a character on every account, I immediately, within the next, like, week or two, pull their soulstones, sometimes multiple times. Uh, Definitely is one of those things where it feels like the game knows and is doing it specifically to spite you. Um, but, you know, can't prove it. Alright, and let's see how close we are to upgrading Gremory with the additional 50. Yep. Unfortunately, still need close to another 50. That's what I was afraid of. But let's see how far we can get here. Now, normally, I would advise that you always do 3 trial entries per week using the 1,000 gems to buy the bonus entry. But right now, that event is going on in the special shop where you can get 3 Soulstone Selector tickets plus a little bit of other stuff for 15k rubies. And that is frankly just better. So if there's any chance that I can possibly save up enough to get another one of those packages before the event ends when they do the maintenance that they delayed, I'm going to work at it. And I'm going to save all the gems I possibly can in hopes that that can happen. Now, that said, I know for sure that we're going to get some refunds when the patch is implemented, but by then they should be taking that out of the special shop, and it should be too late. Now, I probably want to, this time around, because Gremory's health did get dangerously low, I probably want to make sure that Estelle is casting her ability that, ACC. One of her skills. Sheer target. Reduce the target's attack by 30%. So, if at all possible, I want to try to get this ability off to get discouragement on the enemy. So that it reduces their attack by 30%, because I don't think they're immune to that. But we'll double check that real quick here. Mighty Power prevents its defense and attack speed from being affected. But it is not immune to attack reduction. So, we're gonna try and cast that first in hopes that it'll keep the team alive when he does his ability, that hits as an AoE. That said, it's possible he'll cast that before I can get an ability off. That's a bummer, but it does happen. And I'm sure Valance won't get her ability off in time, but we'll try. And Gremory's dead. Alright, well. I probably should have done retry instead of exit. Because, yeah, he doesn't always use it immediately at the start like that. That was kind of bad RNG, but, and a big part of the fix for that, by the way, is just having Gremory's UT leveled up. But right now she's only at 2-star. And I can't really give her defensive runes at the moment, or she won't have the attack that she needs to be able to get through the totem phase. So, we'll actually just try this one more time. And I'm actually going to turn auto off on them. And... okay. There we go. I think at this point I can turn her on auto. Alright, that went pretty well. In fact, we took out over half its health, which is quite good. Two-cycled it. I can't express how much easier this is with Gremory than it is with other units, by the way. I would have had to be substantially more built, not only on Gremory, but on the other units in the team to take this fight out with the alternative units that were traditionally used, like Pansy. Um, Annette is also very key here. I mean, this four-person team just brings all the buffs and heals and everything. It's just pretty ridiculous. Gremory is basically as good at Sky Trial as Lucy is at Flow. They're both just very, very OP in their respective trials, which is a big part of the reason that this hybrid strategy works. And just to wrap things up, we'll pull the rest of our pink gems, or pink shards, and see what we get. Another soulstone. I want to say that's Zephyr, maybe? Yeah, Zephyr. Zephyr used to be the Sky Trial tank for physical teams, but he's kind of fallen off the list now that Valance exists. Dosarta. Don't have her unlocked just yet, but doesn't hurt to have her Soulstone. She is still heavily used in PvP, especially since she got the recent buff. More Red Ether. Pretty happy to see that at the moment. I don't immediately recognize this, which leads me to believe it's probably not that helpful. Nikki. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's not bad to have Nikki Soulstones, but, not particularly good either. Especially because on this hybrid team, I really won't be using her for much. The places where I would usually need Nikki to do block reduction, I can typically just use Gremory DPS and run her block reduction perk, and it's much more effective than Nikki's is. That might have been just enough red ether to do the upgrade. Have to check. I think it was. Alright, a little bit more than we needed, actually. So, Gremory A216. Now, normally you would actually be upgrading Fallen Frey first, uh, but with this particular team, it works better for me to do Gremory before Fallen Frey, because if she gets too far behind, I have issues. Also because Fallen Frey, if she gets too far ahead, Lucy, the way I have him set up currently, will have issues in flow. That wouldn't be a problem if he was A2, but he's not, or at least it wouldn't be as much of a problem. So kind of an awkward position that I'm stuck in for that. Sort of advanced strategy here, not necessarily what most people want to be doing with most teams. Okay, thank you for joining me on Yukikaze Gaming. Hope you found this video informative, and hope see you guys again next time. Bye-bye!